When you think of an empire, you probably picture something built on oil or maybe technology. But in South Africa, a totally different kind of empire has taken hold, an invisible one. And it's not built on innovation, it's built on a system of corruption, all disguised as legitimate government contracts or tenders. This is the world of the tenderpreneur, and we're about to dive deep into how it all works.
And let's be clear, this isn't about some smash and grab crime. We're talking about a highly sophisticated, systemic kind of theft that happens right out in the open. It's a system of looting that's been carefully engineered and, honestly, perfected over decades, right inside the country's plushest boardrooms.
So, what exactly is a tenderpreneur? The word itself is pretty clever, right? It mashes together tender, that's the official word for a government contract, and entrepreneur. But the innovation here isn't about creating some amazing new product. Oh no, it's about mastering the art of gaming the system for massive personal profit.
So, okay, how does this invisible empire actually function? Because this isn't just a few random acts of greed. It's a structured, well-oiled machine, and it's specifically designed to do one thing: divert public money straight into private pockets. The playbook is actually pretty simple, and it usually follows these 4 steps. First, it all starts with some inside info. A politically connected person gets a heads up about a tender before anyone else. Next, they use those connections to lock down the contract, almost always at a wildly inflated price. Then comes the delivery phase, or, the non-delivery phase. The work is shoddy, incomplete, or sometimes just never happens. And finally, the profits are carved up and paid out to everyone in the network through kickbacks. It's a whole process that, believe it or not, hides in plain sight.
And this, right here, is the real poison of the whole system. It's designed to look totally legit. On the surface, if you check the paperwork, it's perfect. The payments are all authorized, the company's registered, the project officially exists. But behind that paper facade, the real goal isn't building a road or a school. It's pure, simple, personal enrichment. To really get how this works in the real world, we need to look at the anatomy of a major scandal. This is the story of how this very system targeted one of the most critical institutions in the entire country, the National Tax Agency. Just look at this timeline. It shows you exactly how a false story was built up and then basically weaponized. First, you get these media allegations about a supposed rogue unit inside the tax agency. Then, a huge global firm, KPMG, drops a report that seems to legitimize all the claims. That report is then used as the perfect political excuse to fire a finance minister. It was only after these explosive Gupta leaks exposed a massive web of corruption that KPMG finally retracted its findings, admitting the whole report was unreliable. And the real-world cost of all this? 50 billion rand. That was the estimated hole blown in the country's tax revenue right after the scandal. Think about it. When you deliberately destabilize the one agency that collects the country's money, you cripple the entire government's ability to function. It forces more borrowing and threatens the country's whole financial standing. But behind these massive numbers are real people. This is Johan van Lagenberg. He was one of the senior officials targeted by that bogus report. He faced 82 different allegations, everything from spying on the president to murder. And all of this was amplified by a report from a reputable company that never even bothered to ask for his side of the story. But here's the thing. KPMG wasn't some isolated case. A system this big relies on a whole network of what you could call professional enablers. We're talking about some of the biggest international names in consulting and auditing, all providing this shiny veneer of legitimacy to what's really going on. This slide just shows you the absolute audacity of the whole scheme. Okay, on the left, you see the official goal, a government project to empower 100 poor farmers. Sounds great, right? Well, on the right is the reality. That public money was actually used to pay for a ridiculously lavish 30 million rand wedding. And guess who audited the company that laundered the money? Yep, KPMG again. And the same pattern just kept repeating itself, this time at the state power company, Eskom. The players here included the global consulting giant McKinsey, who partnered with a local firm called Trillion, which, surprise, surprise, had deep links to the politically powerful Gupta family. It was only thanks to whistleblowers like Bianca Goodson and Suzanne Daniels that the entire deal was later exposed as, in their words, patently corrupt. This quote from the whistleblower CEO of Trillion really says it all.
She asked McKinsey where her company's people were on the project plan, and they were apparently shocked, telling her, well, you won't actually be doing anything. It just peels back the curtain, right? The partnership was nothing but a front, a way to land a massive contract and funnel money to a politically connected firm.
It's easy for these boardroom deals and billion-rand contracts to feel a little abstract, but the consequences are devastatingly real. There is a profound and often very dangerous human cost to all of this.
For the people who actually dare to speak out, the price they pay is just unbelievably high. Suzanne Daniels, that lawyer at ESCOM, she got death threats just for doing her job and asking for the money back. We already heard how Johan van Longerberg's life was turned completely upside down. Being a whistleblower in this environment means you are risking your career, your reputation, and sometimes even your life. And yes, sometimes the cost is the ultimate one. This is not just financial crime. In some parts of the country, the fierce competition for these lucrative government contracts has fueled an actual culture of violence, leading to hundreds of politically motivated killings. It's a deadly, deadly business. And this is where the damage is felt most, not on a spreadsheet, but in the day-to-day lives of ordinary people. Every single rand that's stolen is a textbook that isn't bought, a hospital bed that isn't available, a clean water pipe that's never built. This is the true legacy of a system that's designed for extraction, not for service. So, if the damage is this obvious, why on earth is this system so hard to stop? Well, the answer is that it's about so much more than just individual greed. At the end of the day, this whole system is more than just greed. It's a tool for political survival. It has become the engine of patronage that funds political campaigns, rewards loyal supporters with fat contracts, and keeps powerful allies right where you want them. And when corruption is the very thing you need to hold on to power, simply telling the truth becomes a radical act of defiance. A system like this, it doesn't just need corrupt officials in complicit businesses to keep going. It also needs something else: public silence. It thrives when we all get used to the headlines, when we start to believe this is just the way things are. And that leaves us with a pretty tough question to ask ourselves. How long are we going to keep looking away?